Good morning, all of you awesome and amazing people on YouTube. The old Coot here coming at you with another exciting video. Okay, so cold pan, right? It's completely clean. I washed it, the whole 9 yards. We are going to do the whole fried egg in a stainless steel pan without sticking video, part 2, or version 2.0, I should say. Because I did one a few years ago. People were complaining that the egg was burned, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. Quit whining and just suck it up, Buttercup. Okay, so here we go. Here's eggs over easy in a stainless steel pan starting from basically cold. Okay, this is in real time. So biggest burner I have, right? That's the big one. That's the small one. This is like the medium sized one. There's another small one back there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the heat, the gas, see if it goes. And what I'm doing is this is high, right? This is medium, and this is low. Low's over here. Sorry. What I want to do is I want to be somewhere like around right here. So I want to be somewhere between medium and low. Like if medium and low was a 10-point scale, I want to be just towards the medium side, 1 point. So let's say like if 1 is over here and 10 is over here, I want to be somewhere at like a 6. Like if 5 was in the middle, I want to be like at a 6. So pan goes on. This is going to warm up for at least 2 minutes, minimum 2 minutes. So it's 9:06 plus whatever seconds were on there. I'm not going to put an egg in there until at least 9:08, maybe even 9:09. Let's go to the fridge. So I'm using cold eggs, which is against every rule that I tell everybody, right? Do as I say, not as I do. But I'm going to use cold eggs. Let's make 3 because I'm hungry this morning. So there's 2 of them. I'm gonna measure with the temperature too, so there's no BS. But usually what I recommend is that you take your eggs out at least like a half an hour before you cook them. But for, that's for like beginners. Like if you're a beginner and you're just starting to do this, take your eggs out at least a half an hour before you're ready to cook them. That way they can warm up a little. I'm not saying they're going to come up to room temperature in that half an hour, but at least they'll be more than whatever. So let me go ahead and just do a temperature thing real here so you can kind of see. So they are 68.7, 68.5. It's going to go down obviously because I'm just touching the surface. 67. You kind of get the idea. They just came out of my fridge, right? 63, 62. Let's see. They should go down to like 30 something if possible. Like that's what the temperature in my fridge was. But anyways, you kind of get the idea. This is going to keep going down the longer I hold it here. But you kind of get the idea. My fridge is set to, I think 36 or 38 degrees, something like that. What is it set to? It's set to 38 degrees. So anyways, for the purpose of this video, let's just say I took the eggs out of the fridge, which is what they were. Okay, next thing important is butter. You're going to need butter. Sorry, butter or some kind of oil or something. I like to use a combination of butter and oil together. So olive oil is usually what I use, right? What I've done is I've transferred this olive oil into this squirt bottle, and I'll show you why once we get to that point. But basically this has a little angled nozzle, so it'll either squirt in a vertical line, or it'll squirt in a horizontal line depending on how you twist or adjust this thing. But the reason why I like this so much is because basically what happens is when I spray it in the pan, I'm not doing that yet. I got to wait till at least 9:08, 9:09 something. When I spray it in the pan, it just creates like this even coating in the pan. Okay, quick science here explained. Biggest burner. Why am I using the biggest burner? Because I want to evenly distribute that heat as much as possible. More even heat means that you get less hot spot, cold spot kind of action going on. The heat radiates underneath the pan. You kind of get the idea. Okay, the pan I'm using, it's an AllClad D3 stainless steel 10-inch frying pan. Why is that important? D3 means 3 layers of metal. So you've got a bottom layer of stainless steel, you've got a middle layer of aluminum, and then you've got a top layer of stainless steel, basically more evenly distributing that heat so that you don't get a hot spot in the middle, cold spot in the end. You kind of get the idea. So we are at 9:09, right? Which means the pan should be just about at temperature. So let's go ahead and do the pre-lube process. So the pre-lube process is, actually I think I got my butter ready too. Try to have everything ready before you, I mean, I'm doing this in real time, but obviously if you're doing this at home, it's gonna be a lot quicker, a lot easier. But what I wanna do is I wanna get about, I'd say about like a half a tablespoon of butter, something like this, let's say. If you're a beginner, go ahead and use a full tablespoon, even 2 tablespoons. And then as you get better at doing this and you get to know your pan better, what temperature setting to set it to, etc., as you get better and better, you can use less and less butter until you get stickage, and then you'll know the point where you know how much butter, how much oil to use. If you want to use only butter and that's all you're going to use without the oil, then definitely use 2 tablespoons of butter. If you're a beginner, maybe go up to 3 tablespoons of butter just to get used to how your pan behaves, etc., whatever. Okay, olive oil. I'm going to go ahead and spray something to the effect of like maybe a half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of butter. How do I know that? From experience. But basically 1 or 2 squirts of this is like 1/4 of a tablespoon every time. So let's say something like that. So I'm well lubed. Now I'm going to drop my butter in. Turn the light on here. Okay, so that's what I want. I want a sizzle, but not any immediate browning or burning or any of that kind of stuff. And if the sizzle goes away slowly, that's a good sign. So there is some browning of the butter, which is totally fine, but I want to make sure I coat all the edges, right? See that nice brown butter action going on there? It's giving it flavor. Just make sure you have a nice even coat. Okay, now what I can do is I can crack my eggs in. So here we go. Here's the first one. Low, and just let it drop in there, right? There's no reason to drop it from up high. The reason why you want to drop it low is you want to maintain that layer of butter between the pan and your egg. Also, why do I do this at the temperature I do it at? Because I've created the Leidenfrost effect, which is something you'll probably get into and explore. What the Leidenfrost effect means is that, let me just make sure I get all the eggs in there, sorry. I'll explain that in a second, but like I said, we're doing all this in real time, so try not to skip a crucial step in the process, which is try to get your eggs in there as close as you can. And obviously, if you're using 1 egg, you know, you might want to use a smaller pan, but the principles are the same. Okay, so now we're frying up. And notice I haven't touched my pan. I haven't tried to move them around. If you are going to do any touching or moving, sorry, try to have one of these on hand. This is an OXO Good Grips silicone, basically spatula mover, pusher thing, whatever it's called. But the trick is put your eggs in and just let them sit. Don't touch them, just let them sit. Because if you start touching them, what happens is now you're separating that layer of oil or butter that's lubing up the pan, basically. Okay, Leidenfrost effect. The Leidenfrost effect is basically you heat up your metal to a certain point where if you put a drop of water in there, the water will dance around like a bead, like a marble. It'll move around like a marble. If you put your water in there and the water instantaneously sizzles off, the temperature's too low. If you put your drop of water in there and you do get that water bead, but it explodes like a firecracker, and then you have like hundreds of little tiny small water beads or like little mini pebbles, the pan's too hot. So you can increase your temperature, decrease your temperature, increase your warm-up time, decrease your warm-up time accordingly, right? So these eggs have been in here a while, right? I'm just going to jiggle them around a little bit and see if I have any stickage, which I'm getting a little bit of stick, but that's fine. That's totally fine. And remember, my eggs were cold. If your eggs are warm, it'll be a little easier to do this. But let me go ahead and go in with a spatula now. So basically what I'm looking for is just a gentle release, right? I'm not trying to force the egg from the pan. I'm just waiting for it to gently release. And see how it's kind of gently releasing right now? There was a comment in the other video, oh my God, you burned your eggs, blah, 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 whatever. You know what? There's nothing burning here. What's going on is the brown butter is coating the underside of the eggs. So it may appear a really dark brown, but I guarantee you it's not burned in any way, shape, or form. So now I've got better release here, right? I've got a better release here. See, just gentle, gentle, gentle. And I'm not scraping the bottom. I'm just trying to nudge. You can do this too if you're at home. Don't be afraid to like change the angle of your pans. But see that? I've got like almost a full release. If you just wanted to do sunny side up, that's fine too. But notice our cooking time now. We're now at 9:15. So this is it's a process. If you're in a rush and you're trying to do this, you might want to think about other alternatives. So I've almost got full release, and there we go. Full release right there. Hockey pucks moving around. What I'll do is I'll try to do this with one hand, do a flip. Like I said, you could continue like this and do sunny side up. That's totally fine. If you want to do easy, over hard, over medium. Now here comes the fun part. I'm going to flip. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. There we go. Perfect. So that's not burned. That's just crunchy and crispy. And that's how I like my eggs. Another crucial step is do not touch your eggs once you flip them. Just let them do their thing. Remember, you're relying on the butter and the fat, the olive oil, or if you're only using butter, you're only using olive oil, whatever the case may be, you're relying on that. And you're also relying on that Leidenfrost effect, which is creating like a nice layer where there's separation between your food and the pan, and then the butter and the oil is just like extra insurance that nothing's going to stick. So now at this point, see, sometimes you get a bleed out like this and sometimes you don't. But I know from experience I should be able to have release. So let's try. And I might need a nudge. See, sometimes you just need a nudge. So again, just come in with your spatula. Look at the time again. It's probably been like about a minute or so. And then you'll have to experiment. If you want them over easy, over hard, over medium, whatever, you'll just have to experiment. You're going to have to crack a few eggs to make an omelet, just saying. Okay, so again, I'm just coming in here and I'm just barely nudging. See, that one released, no problem. Sometimes they take, like this one released, no problem. This one here, this might be the sticker, or sometimes in the middle you'll get some stickage. I think I've got full release. Let me just double check. Yeah, and there's the release. So there you go. So now let me go ahead and shut off the gas because I'm done cooking. I'm just going to grab a plate. But see how easy? It's easy once you understand the structure, the fundamentals, the science, how everything all works. By the way, loving these ThermoPro digital thermometers that shut off automatically so you don't have to leave them on. I'll put a link down below in the description.